Let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders because this team just had a very polarizing draft. In their first round, they selected Brock Bowers, but he was the best player that was on the board. But in last year's draft class, they drafted Michael Mayer. So you could possibly run a two tight end set on that offensive end of things. I like their NFL draft more than others, and I think that the Raiders are going to be a tough and rugged team throughout the entire season. But can they really go out there and compete within their own division? That's the true answer. Well, that's the true question. Because when you look at this division, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, they're the kings of this division. And they have been ever since Patrick Mahomes took over the reins and he had the keys to the kingdom with that franchise. You have the Denver Broncos. How would they be with Bo Nix? That's a very intriguing fit. Then you also have the Chargers bringing in Jim Harbaugh, and they already have their franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. When I look at the Raiders, they have a lot of good players. But I want to talk about that quarterback position on the last part of this video. When you look at guys like Michael Mayer, great potential at the tight end spot. The same thing with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, amazing blocker, amazing receiving tight end. Some people say that he's the best tight end prospect in a very long time. Some people even put him over Kyle Pitts when he came out over a couple of years ago for what he was able to do with Georgia in college. And the thing is with Brock Bowers, they split him out wide as a wide receiver. So if Luke Getsy, who is a brand new offensive coordinator with this squad, if he can get innovative with how he wants to use these tight ends, I think that you did the right thing here. You can really run a set to what the Patriots used to do many years ago with Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. But you also have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL and Davante Adams. In my opinion, you could say that he is the best wide receiver in the NFL because he had lackluster quarterback play ever since he came over to the Las Vegas Raiders. He hasn't had the same production with the Raiders that he had with Aaron Rodgers, but he is getting open, and he's still, to me, one of the best wide receivers. Like I mentioned a couple seconds ago, to me, he's still the most complete wide receiver in the game. Great route runner, great hands, can get over top of corners. He is getting older, but he can help develop a guy like Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. And when you look at Davante Adams' stats, they're still very good. 1,144 receiving yards on the season, 8 receiving touchdowns. The thing is this, that is very pedestrian for Davante Adams. We're used to him going out there and getting upward to 1,300 to 1,400 yards and getting 10 plus touchdowns in the season. They have to feature him more, and they have to get down with that connection. The thing is with Aiden O'Connell, that kid got a raw deal. He was never supposed to start in his rookie season, and I hold out hope that he can develop in the future. The thing is with him, a lot of people don't talk about this with the Raiders. Josh McDaniels got fired after that terrible game against the Detroit Lions. He was also the main offensive play caller. Jimmy Garoppolo got benched. Basically got injured, but he got benched because he was a terrible quarterback before they benched him / getting injured. He was leading the league in interceptions. Aiden O'Connell never got first team reps in camp. Aiden O'Connell was working basically scout team and working with the second stringers. So he never got to develop that chemistry with Davante Adams. He never got to develop that chemistry with Jacoby Myers. That all went to Jimmy Garoppolo because he was the main priority, not Aiden O'Connell. So I had to put that into perspective. When you look at Aiden O'Connell early on in the season, when he first got that starting job, it wasn't pretty. But this is a kid that can develop, and I hope that he will develop for the Raiders because they need some consistent quarterback play. But you look at Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, who was also an awesome free agency signing. Josh McDaniels was a terrible head coach, and he made some terrible decisions. But getting Jacoby Myers was a great move. 71 catches on the season, 807 receiving yards, and 8 receiving touchdowns. And I believe that he is very happy with the Raiders. Not only did they pay him, he's in a better situation with this organization than he was with the Patriots. So I'll take that as a plus to have him with this roster as well. They let Hunter Renfrow go. Hunter Renfrow was not the same wide receiver that he was a couple of years ago when he broke over 1,000 yards receiving when he was playing in the slot, and that is sad to see. The offensive line is solid. Colton Miller is a franchise tackle. I'm higher on him than most people, but he's a very good player at that left tackle position. This is where things get very good here. They drafted Jackson Powers Johnson in the second round. I believe that kid should have went in the first round. Dealt with some concussion issues in the past, but when he was healthy with Oregon, phenomenal interior offensive lineman. Can play center, can play left guard, can play right guard. He's a road raider. Antonio Pierce is a rough and ragged type of head coach. He's the type of guy to go out there, you run the football, you punch the opposing quarterback in the mouth, and you just try to win ugly football games. This is a player that fits that. This was a great pick. This may be my favorite pick for the Raiders in their entire draft class. And like I mentioned before, I like Brock Bowers, but getting Jackson Powers Johnson in the second round, that's a steal to me. This kid's phenomenal. Immediately, he can start on the offensive line. Anywhere on the interior, you could put him there. And the right tackle is a bit interesting. The right tackle did play better as the season progressed, but it's still one of the weaker spots on the offensive line. Hopefully, he can play better moving forward. Then you also went out there and you drafted DJ Glaze, the offensive tackle, 6'4", 315 pounds, can play left tackle, can play right tackle. If your right tackle does not step up, you can put this kid right there. DJ Glaze is coming over from Maryland, one of the better offensive tackles in college this season, had a very good season. I believe that he can come over and he'll be very good. Not the best run blocker, but in pass blocking situations, he is pretty solid. It's going to take some time to get him on the field and get him adjusted to the NFL speed, because that's the one knock on him. He is a bit slower when it comes to going against some of those faster defensive ends and some of those technical guys. He struggles a little bit, but if he's just going against a stiff board and one of those jacked up linemen, he can hold his own. So long term, he could be that starting right tackle that's playing alongside Colton Miller. And if Colton Miller does go down, knock on wood, he can come in and play left tackle as well. So versatility on the offensive line with your second and third round pick. Overall, when I look at the Raiders, their offense, the skill positions, they're locked down. Yes, Josh Jacobs left. He went to the Green Bay Packers. You guys know how I feel about Zamir White. Very underrated. You saw what he was able to do in that Kansas City Chiefs game when they defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. One very interesting note, the last team to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs this season was the Las Vegas Raiders. And in that game, he looked very good. He had 22 carries for 145 rushing yards, 6.6 yards a carry against one of the better rushing defenses in the NFL. That's crazy to see. So if that kid can go out there and continue to break tackles and he could be that workhorse running back with the Raiders, you can work off of play action and you can make life easier on Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. Depends on who wins that quarterback battle. He also had an awesome game against the Denver Broncos as well, where they won that game 27-14. He had 25 carries for 112 rushing yards. He also had another good game against the Chargers when they blew the Chargers out in that game. He had 17 carries for 69 yards. So I expect for him to be the leading running back. And if he's not that guy, you have Alexander Mattison, who is more than capable of coming in and giving you very good production. 700 rushing yards on the season, 0 rushing touchdowns, did average 4 yards a carry. So I like the running backs. It just comes down to the offensive line. And like I mentioned before, Antonio Pierce, he cares about the running back position, but he cares more about having the offensive line. And we've seen this over the last couple of years, even throughout the NFL history. A great offensive line will make an average running back look like a beast. A bad offensive line will make a great running back look average, because you have to go out there and block. So they can set up the blocks for Zamir White, who is basically a sledgehammer down the middle between the tackles. The run game should be good. Now, this is where I want to talk about the quarterback position. Before I get to the defense, they had the opportunity to possibly trade up to get a guy like Michael Penix Jr. They didn't do that. I don't have a problem with them not doing that, by the way. I think it was smart. You have Aiden O'Connell. You hope that this kid can develop. Like I mentioned before, was never supposed to be the starting quarterback in his rookie season. He was not supposed to start any games. But you bring in Gardner Minshew on a team-friendly deal. But Gardner Minshew got his money. Gardner Minshew's been around the NFL. He was a former backup quarterback with the Jaguars, even started some games with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Backup with the Philadelphia Eagles. Backup with the Indianapolis Colts. Almost got the Colts to the NFL playoffs. They were just a play away from beating the Houston Texans in the last week of the season. 15 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Veteran quarterback. He's a bridge quarterback at best. And I'm not going to backtrack for what I said a couple of weeks ago. I really do believe that Michael Penix Jr., if he was there, if the Atlanta Falcons did not select him, the Raiders should have won that position. I know a lot of people may disagree with that. But at the same time, Gardner Minshew is not going to be your guy for the next 4 to 5 years. And I don't believe that Gardner Minshew can go out there and win a shootout with Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert. But at the same time, the Raiders defense has improved over the last couple of years. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. I like Gardner Minshew. He's a fun player to root for, but I have to be real here. He's not going to go out there and make crazy throws and go out there and push you over the top. You're hoping that these guys in the skill position room can do that. I believe that Devontae Adams can make an average quarterback look amazing. That's how great he is. Jacoby Myers can work in between the numbers. Very good. Michael Mayer has a lot of potential. I feel bad for him, because his rookie season was lackluster and it wasn't all on him. Josh McDaniels did not know how to use him, and they were effectively running the same playbook when he got fired. And Aiden O'Connell was looking for him. They just didn't have that chemistry. Like I mentioned before, that kid did not get to work with some of these guys in training camp and OTAs, and that plays a huge part about production on the field. If Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, whoever it is going to be a starting quarterback, because it's going to be one of these guys. If they can just go out there and be decent and take care of the football, the way that the Raiders are constructed right now, they could be a dangerous team in this division. It is tough. I do not believe that they can go out there and contend and win this division. It depends on injuries and all those things, of course. Now, if a major injury does happen, and I hope that it doesn't happen, and the Raiders stay healthy, then we could talk about this team possibly going up there. Because you look at the players on the roster, they're pretty good. They have one of the better rosters in the AFC, to be honest with you. Especially in this division, they're geared up to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs or go out there and compete with a team like Kansas City Chiefs. The only difference is a guy like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And that's a big portion of their team, to be real. But other than that, the Kansas City Chiefs have weaknesses. And Antonio Pierce believes that he has the magic formula to go out there and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We will see. We'll see if he's all about talk or if he can put that into action. But that second game where they face each other, he wasn't all about talk. They went out there and they pressured Patrick Mahomes. They punched him in the mouth and they got very aggressive at the line of scrimmage. It caused them a lot of problems. At the same time, a healthy Justin Herbert is scary to face. And the Denver Broncos, they're rebuilding right now, but you can't sleep on Sean Payton. And I don't believe that there'll be in many shootouts this season. I mentioned a couple minutes ago that I do not believe that Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell can win a true shootout just yet. We'll see about Aiden O'Connell because he's entering his second year. But this defense, the way that's geared up, they shouldn't be in shootouts to begin with. Their defense is amazing. Last season, their defense stepped up. For the first time in over 5 years, their defense was actually solid. What was the thing with the Las Vegas Raiders that people like to bring up with Derek Carr? He never had a top defense. The defense is horrible. The defense stinks. We traded Khalil Mack for nothing. Our defense was already bad with Khalil Mack. That's what a lot of Raider fans say. But last season, they were very good against the run, very good against the pass. Their defense stepped up while their offense let them down because of that terrible coach in Josh McDaniels, who should never coach ever again in the NFL. The only reason he got this job was because of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. But over the last few years, Max Crosby has been a dominant pass rusher. 14.5 sacks this season, 2 forced fumbles. And I've been banging the table, go get him some help. Go get him an extra pass rusher. Go get that guy some help. He's getting triple teamed. And tight ends are following him around. He's getting chip blocked. He's still getting to the quarterback. Last season, they tried to double team him, but you had a guy in Malcolm Kuntz who came out of nowhere and had 8 sacks on the season, and the pressure rate was up for that kid. They hit on him. Mike Mayock and John Gruden actually hit on a player, and he's a very good pass rusher with the Raiders. He's developed into being a very good number 2 pass rusher. You also selected Tyree Wilson in last year's draft class in the first round, developmental pass rusher. I think right now, Malcolm Kuntz is a better pass rusher than him. Obviously, he is because of the numbers. But when you look at Malcolm Kuntz, right now, that's a guy that you will want to start in front of Tyree Wilson and hope that he can go out there and help him develop. The thing is with Tyree Wilson, he was never supposed to go out there and be a starter long term, not his rookie season. It was supposed to be Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones was dealing with some mental things to where they was like, man, you know what? We got to cut him. We got to let him go. He's no longer in the NFL. But you look at Tyree Wilson, his rookie season, it was lackluster. 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. You saw some flashes. Hopefully he can develop, because if he can, he has freakish ability. He can get to the quarterback. The thing is this, can he do it consistently enough at this level? We will see. But I believe there was a bit of a reach in the first round to be trying to get a developmental pass rusher who was dominant at Texas Tech his last season. I still question that pick. Hopefully he can be good long term with the Raiders. But if that doesn't work out, they went into free agency and they signed Christian Wilkins. Very good defensive tackle from the Miami Dolphins, who's going to play alongside Max Crosby. He can go back there, stop the run, get to the quarterback. 9 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble. He's going to come in and be that game record that your head coach, Antonio Pierce, is looking for. Coach Pierce is always talking about dominating the line of scrimmage, getting to a guy like Patrick Mahomes, getting to a guy like Justin Herbert, now getting to a guy like Bo Nix. It's only so much you can do when you're getting pressure from all over. That's why I compare this Raiders team, the way that it's constructed, to one of those old Raider teams in the 90s and the early 2000s that is based off of physicality, getting to the quarterback, and hitting you hard across the middle of the field. Now, you can't play that type of defense anymore because they'll throw flags like it's no tomorrow, but at the same time, you can't get physical at the line of scrimmage. And a quarterback can only do so much when he's dealing with constant pressure in his face. And a guy like Tyree Wilson, the perfect role for him is to go against quarterbacks like Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, to just chase them around and keep them busy, while a guy like Christian Wilkins can work his way over the middle, and the same with Max Crosby. You want to keep those guys basically inside the pocket. You don't want them to go out there and make all these crazy plays. And not saying that Patrick Mahomes is not amazing from the pocket or Justin Herbert's not amazing from the pocket, because they are. But some of their big plays come when they start drifting outside. Then the secondary gets their eyes locked on the quarterback, and the next thing you know, receivers are behind them. It happens every single year with those quarterbacks. So having a developmental pass rusher that can just keep pace and can change direction at any given moment would be a plus. So maybe Tyree Wilson can have a role there. He's definitely going to have a role with the Raiders over the next couple of years, just based off of potential alone. And their secondary was awesome last season. Trayvon Moring was a very good safety. Nate Hobbs was a very good cornerback as well. They also went in, they drafted some linebackers to pair up with Robert Spillane and Divine Diablo. Divine Diablo is a solid linebacker, the same with Robert Spillane as well. But they went out there and they drafted Tommy Eichenberg, who brother plays for the Miami Dolphins. His brother's the offensive lineman, Liam Eichenberg. They drafted him in the 5th round, 6'2", 233 pounds, 82 tackles on the season, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. He's going to go out there and get busy. Tackle machine, can make plays over the middle of the field. He's one of those guys you look at and say, okay, there's something there with this kid long term. Not ready to start right now, but be on the lookout for him in training camp, and be on the lookout for him if one of those linebackers do go down. I think the Raiders are building their team basically off best player available in the NFL draft. That's what they did. It just comes down to that quarterback competition. Who will be the quarterback, Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew? I will lean more towards letting Aiden O'Connell try to go out there and figure things out, because he's more so your long-term plan than Gardner Minshew. If Aiden O'Connell does struggle and he doesn't look good, if he looks like how he looked on the first half of his rookie season, then you sit him down and let Gardner Minshew take over the reins. The thing is with that, Gardner Minshew is a solid enough quarterback to where you can go out there and possibly win a lot of football games with. You could win 7 to 8 football games with Gardner Minshew. And Aiden O'Connell could really benefit a lot from possibly just looking at him and see what he does on the field and just develop behind him, to where you don't have to reach for a quarterback in next year's draft class. But if it doesn't work out, you can get you a quarterback in next year's draft class, and next thing you know, you repeat the cycle. You already have a very good football team with very good players. But I think the Raiders right now, they're going to be an annoying team to face. Just give Antonio Pierce a lot of time. That's part of the reason why Max Crosby was basically saying this: if we don't hire this man who went 5-4 in the last 9 games of the season, I want to trade. So Antonio Pierce also has to step up, and it's going to come down to Luke Getsy as well, who did not have the best play calling career with the Chicago Bears, but at the same time, Justin Fields cannot operate from the pocket. Gardner Minshew can, and Aiden O'Connell can. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Las Vegas Raiders free agency, and how do you guys feel about the Las Vegas Raiders entire NFL draft as well? And if I missed anything, let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.